if you're currently making anywhere between £3,000 to £5,000 and you want to hit £10,000 per month, there is realistically 5 mistakes that you are making that could be costing you, and probably is costing you. So without further ado, we're going to get into number 1. I've written them down here. If I track downwards, then I'm just reading. Full transparency, I just can't make videos without reading off a semi-script, so I don't know, sue me. So number 1, to be honest, realistically, it's the biggest one that I see, which is when a coach hits, I'd say like 5 grand. I think 5 grand is one of the biggest markers that I see. When a coach hits 5 grand a month, they think they've made it. And what they do is they go and buy the watch and the car, and they basically increase living expenses to a point where they used to earn 2 and now they earn 5. But realistically, from a financial position, they're in the same spot, even though they're earning more, because everything that they do, go out for nice dinners, they drink nice wine. Again, their just living expenses just rises up. Their car costs more. They might move to a bigger house, and actual money in the bank at the end of the month is the same, even though they're earning double or even in some cases triple. Okay, I can name so many coaches that I've seen who luckily haven't worked with TCT, who are on paper technically flying, but they're broke. Because what they do is they try and flex on Instagram versus actually have money in the bank. Okay? Now, as a fitness coach, or as just a business owner in general, to be honest, one of the biggest things that you can do, and one of the biggest flexes that you can create in your business is to have the power of reinvestment. So, let's just take 2 versions of yourself here. Okay, so you've just hit your first 5 grand a month. You've just gone and bought a car, you've moved into a new house, cash in the bank wise, you are left at the end of the month with £500, okay? So once everything's said and done, 500 quid, okay? Same exact end of the month, there's £500 left in the kitty, but instead of buying the house and the car and the watches, whatever, and the nice meals, you have reinvested back into the business, you have employed people, you have push money into ads, you've built systems and automations within the business. Who do you think is going to make more money long term? Is it the coach who's basically spent everything on materialistic things, or is it the coach that has consistently reinvested back into the business? Easy one, right? But I see it time after time after time that a coach hits that 5 grand a month revenue marker and then automatically goes and buys an M4 fucking comp spec. I'm not very good with cars, but if you want to break into that 10k a month mark, don't fucking do that. Okay, reinvest back into the business, whether that's mentorship, whether that's ads, whatever. Just reinvest back into it. Okay, because money will come back at you quicker once you reinvest back into the business. Okay, even this last year with TCT, I've invested so much money and it's come back at me quicker every time. Yes, I bought nice things this year. It's kind of the first year which I've enabled myself to realistically do that. However, tracking back, even in the last 3 to 5 years, I have reinvested every single time. Every time I get money, reinvest. Every time I get money, reinvest. And that's how you scale. That's how you grow as a fitness coach. That's how you grow as a business. Okay. So the one mistake you could be making right now that could enable you to go from 5 to 10 is kill materialistic and reinvest back into the business. Now, this is not saying you can't have nice things, by the way, because you definitely can. But if you hit your first 5 grand month and you go and buy a fucking Range Rover, like realistically, could you have waited 6 months when you're hitting 10 grand and gone and purchased it then? Okay, probably. Okay, so that's number 1. Number 2 is they keep everything in their head versus systemizing everything. Okay, so this is particularly important, and it kind of links to number 4, where like you don't employ people in the business, but everything they do is so like in their head, and like this is where I struggle with like as being a business owner, especially a new business owner, that every process known to man is like here versus written down. Okay, if you have stuff written down, then you know exactly what you're doing and why you're doing it. Okay, so when you go to like anywhere between 3 to 5k, realistically you should be moving towards systems and processes versus just fucking everything. Okay, so how do you check in with your clients? I'll ask you that question. You'll probably report back, oh, I just check them in throughout the day. Why? Right? So like all of these processes need refining, because when you refine processes and everything is like a well-oiled machine, you will grow. One of the biggest bottlenecks that I see as a business owner, or any business owner I work with, is everything is so chaotic. It's just like there's just chaos in the business. Whereas if you have a process for everything and it's all written down and it's all systemized, you can basically go, right, okay, I have this context here, a client's leaving me. Cool, I need to offboard them using this process here, right? And when you have processes in the business, you then operate as a business and not just like someone with a job, okay? Because every time you do something in the business, if you don't have a process for it, it's different, right? So the inquiry process is different, the offboarding process is different, everything is different, okay? But if you can get into a habit of whatever I'm doing on a daily basis, write it all down and script it all out, then you have a process. Then when you have a process that isn't working, you go back to the process and change a little bit of it, test it, see if it works, and then improve, okay? So one thing that I would do as a business owner is learn that you naturally as a human will want to try and change things all the time, but if you have a proven process that's working, fucking stick to it. Done. Number 3 is they try to scale without fixing retention, okay? So I have been in and amongst businesses, especially when they join TCT, where it's like, how many clients do you get in on a monthly basis? 15. Wow, insane. How many leave? 14. Oh, you can't scale like that, okay? And one of the biggest things that I look at when I first onboard a client is, what's your churn rate? And if they don't know what the churn rate is, alarm bells, we're going to go and find out churn rate, basically. Okay, if you have Stripe, by the way, there is literally like a churn rate percentage. Go and find that out, okay? Ideally, if you want to scale fast, it wants to be sub 10%, ideally 5% as a fitness coach, okay? If it's above that, you have a retention issue, and 9 times out of 10, this is not because you're a shit coach, it's how you're coaching, okay? We have a proven system within TCT that allows you to keep clients in service for the longest time possible. Plug. If you want to scale with TCT, you want to learn about marketing, sales, retention, everything, everything that I teach in these YouTube videos. If you want to apply for us, apply to work with us, there is a link below. Fill in the type form, book in a call, see if we're a good fit. If we are, great. If we're not, then we're not going to try and sell to you. So, plug. End plug. Number 4 is they don't hire early enough, or they hire too late. 2 things, okay? The early enough is something that I see 9 times out of 10 because it links to number 1. They can't hire someone because they're spending all their money on a fucking Range Rover, right? So what I would prefer someone to do is hire in a VA or someone who is involved in admin or a videographer or even a media buyer. Like, invest in DM setters, anyone like that into the business, because if you can do that, okay, why did you get into fitness coaching? You can say it's because I want to help others, I want to get insane results, whatever. You probably didn't get into fitness coaching because you are insanely interested in building the business, because there's other business models that are probably easier to grow, right? You just want to help as many people as possible, get into the best shape of their life, change lives, whatever, which is great. So what I look for in a fitness coach, and when we're working with fitness coaches, is how can we get to a revenue marker which will then allow you to go and hire someone to get to deal with a job that you hate. So if you hate DM setting, go and pass it off. If you hate recording yourself and editing, whatever, instead of learning how to do that and just doing it indefinitely and spreading yourself too thin, you go and hire out. Also, if you aren't doing a task, you can then sit yourself into a position of coach mode again, which then decreases churn, increases client satisfaction, because you are then putting yourself into a position of, I am a coach and you have my full attention, right? So you don't spread yourself too thin, okay? And number 5 is they focus only on revenue, they focus on top line, and they ignore profit and sustainability. So the latter one is they cash grab. So they look at things from a month to month perspective, which is fine. You kind of have to look at that. But if you have a shit September, for example, it doesn't mean that you are a shithead. It just means you had a bad month, right? So what a coach who is doing very well does is they don't necessarily look at month to month, they look at year to year. Am I improving as a business owner year on year? Am I making more money? Yes. And is profit margins the same, if not better? Yes. I'm growing as a business coach. I'm growing as a fitness coach. Okay, it was business and then online coaching. Anyway, they also ignore profit. So they have. If I asked you right now, what is your profit margins? You'll be like, I don't know. Or if you're lucky enough, your accountant is telling you what profit margins are, which is good. It's better to know it versus not know it. But realistically, like as a business owner, you should know profit margins, hands down, because it's all well and good spending 10k on ads, but if you're making 11k and then you get VAT'd and then taxed, you're making nothing. So one of the biggest things that you should do is track every single aspect in your business: DM setting, calls booked, close rate, show rate, whatever, plus fucking profit. Because if you know your profit, you know if you can hire, you know if you can run ads, if you can be quite daring in business. Do you have the cash flow for it? Do you have the sustainable cash flow for it? Okay, so these are the 5 things that I see, and the 5 biggest mistakes that I see at £3,000 to £5,000. If you want to scale up to 10, then please avoid these mistakes, especially number 1. Okay, because number 1, in my opinion, is the biggest business killer. In my opinion, they increase living expenses to a point where they cannot reinvest in the business. Then all of a sudden, the business dies. I see it so often. So avoid.